We are live. Labor Day Monday, Labor Day special. The Brain, Willie Saylor, myself, Justin Basch, bashing the brain.
Bashing the brain, back again. What a wonderful, wonderful weekend of wrestling, and there's a little bit of football back. I know, this is a wrestling show, but the reality is, everybody loves football as well. That's one thing that a lot of people said. Well, why would you do this on kickoff weekend? Yes, I know it's not ideal. It wasn't ideal for us. But that was the date they chose. I say they. It was a date cemented in stone before I was involved. I'm not saying that if I was involved at the time. Anyway, it all worked out, guys. It all worked out.
It was a great event. It was great having. I had side by side. I had Real American Freestyle on one TV. I had, I believe it was Clemson LSU right next to it. It was great. It doesn't get better than that. I love football and wrestling side by side.
Ideally, like I said several times leading up to this show, there were things that it wasn't the most ideal weekend. You had football, especially in Cleveland. You had the Ohio State game. It was a kickoff of college football. Ohio State wasn't playing Western Illinois either. They were playing Texas. So it was huge. And probably, I don't know, we probably would have drew a little bit more fans locally in the arena had it not been for those couple scenarios.
Yeah, but honestly, I think no matter what, when you have a first event, you're always going to have an ounce of like, well, let's see how it goes, and then I'll be at the next one. Like, no matter what. So even if you had the perfect date, it's still, you head into the fall, and it's like, we're 2 weekends away from the World Championships, and there's just constantly going to be stuff moving forward. So,
yeah. And, another thing that, I don't know, hurt or whatever terminology we'd like to use, but kind of worked against us was the on the date was the NCAA eligibility rules, where it was determined and sort of late that NCAA, to stay eligible, to not have it mess with your eligibility, it couldn't occur if your classes started. It couldn't occur from the date your classes started until like November 1st. If you're in college, you couldn't compete if your classes had started until November 1st. And so initially, we looked at several college athletes, one of which was Aiden Sinclair. And then that rule was sort of discovered by their compliance. So we worked with NCAA compliance, and there were some initial sign-offs. Yeah, sure. Good. It's good to go. And then Kennedy at Iowa. And it took a long time. It took a long time to go through compliance with Kennedy, and then it was sort of signed off. And then apparently they discovered it late. So that's another thing, right? So there was.
Let's dive into that.
I'm living and learning with that stuff.
Since we're right there and we're kind of a few minutes into it now, the NCAA eligibility thing with Sinclair and Blades, what is it that allows them not to be able to compete in it?
What allows whom?
Sinclair, Blades, college athletes. What is it about RAF where they cannot participate in it, but they can, go to Worlds and ranking series and all that?
I don't know. All I know is that we were told that they couldn't participate in RAF between the date that the date that their school started classes and November 1st.
So it's not it's not a blanket ban in the future. It's these 60 days.
No. I mean, I learned something new every day about these NCAA compliance things. So, who the heck knows? We obviously don't want to put Aiden Sinclair on the card and then have to pull him off. We obviously don't want to put Kennedy Blades and then pull her off. We thought we were in the clear with those things, and And that's coming from their compliance department. Before we added them to the card, their compliance department said, yeah, good. And then they discovered something, right? So, all in all, football weekend, proximity to Worlds, on down the line, it wasn't, it could have even been better. It could have been even more like open and freer, and it could have been more perfect, right? That being said, I thought that the event went extremely well. Both like on the ground, in the arena, I thought it was awesome. The energy was there. There was around 4,000, maybe a little variance in that number. But the 4,000 that were there they were into it. They had good energy. And one thing I couldn't tell while I was there. So in-house, it was awesome. The show was great. There was very little downtime in the show. There was always something playing for the audience to engage with, whether it be a video piece on an athlete or different things going on the mat. What I couldn't tell was how the experience was at home and on the stream. When you're live there, I didn't particularly know exactly what was being broadcast and what was just in-house. And so, and I didn't know what the commentary was like because you don't hear it. But in-house, it was awesome. It was
Yeah,
an awesome show.
I was bummed. I stayed at home. We got family over and having a big Labor Day party today. And so I streamed it. I was kind of glad I got the opportunity to stream it because I'm sure I'll be at the next one. And it was smooth. It was like leading up to it, you saw, you could see kind of Hogan and Bischoff's vision for this was along the lines of like, you could see in the production quality what they took from pro wrestling. With the Jumbotron and the big screens behind the entrances, with the digital display around the mat. Like, you could tell that they were approaching it like that. And the production level was one of the highest quality production of all time, honestly, when it comes to the freestyle wrestling. I think, and Nolf said the same thing. Like, I thought that the experience watching it was great. There wasn't a single stream issue. There wasn't a single audio issue. Everything was clear. And for a first event, like, Chael and Bubba Jenkins on commentary, like, they rolled with everything. There's some people loved them, some people didn't like them, but they handled the job great. They didn't have dead time on air. They handled things that were thrown at them really good. So I thought from a consumption standpoint, I don't think it couldn't have won any better.
Yeah. It's interesting being on the ground, and what the final product is. I was exhausted, and I'm sure everybody was exhausted that was involved, but there's a million fires to put out. There's a million little things that pop up, and they just get taken care of. This issue, that issue, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, by 7 p.m. Saturday night, we were ready to go, and things worked really smoothly. So, I get in addition to like the work that you do and the being on call and on point. I get nervous. I get like really nervous. Not like I get nervous that something could go wrong.
Yeah.
I just want everything to go right, and not not again not as a reflection of RAF or not as a reflection of me and your proficiencies, but and this goes back to like who's number one and stuff like that. It's a big moment for the sport. It's a big reflection of the sport, right? So it's not like I don't want to take criticism. It's that if I'm a part of something, I want to be a part of something that services wrestling in the most professional way.
Yeah, 100%. And I
And
think I
I thought
think
it did that.
it did. And it's like there's one of the reasons we haven't seen an event like this, in my opinion, is because you can tell that the ownership team and management team sunk a lot of money into this. And if you're going to do a wrestling league, and if a pro wrestling league is going to be successful, you do have to fund it properly. And I think this was funded properly, and you could tell that from start to finish. And, there's, of course, right or wrong, there's skeptics of like, can this sustain? How can it become profitable? I think you're going to figure those things out, but it's so all I've done for the last 20 years is marketed businesses. So I understand business and marketing, and it's fun to watch the reaction. And I especially think it's been interesting watching like Eric Bischoff's audience of pro wrestling fans try to tune in. And there's actually a lot of people that said, hey, I think this could work. Listen, if Dana White can make slap whatever a thing and that popular, I think there's the power here to do that. And I'll be honest, Willie, for me, one of the best things I think you guys did was the belts. Right out of the gate, I think the belts made such a difference because it allows wrestling as an individual sport, and it allows there to be that aspect to MMA where who's the champion, who's coming for them. It's a continual storyline. I thought the belts were such a good component to it.
Yeah, frankly, I was on the fence with that. One of the things, a sort of behind the scenes look at stuff is you basically at Real American Freestyle. There's basically three departments. Really, there's three teams. There's Chad's team, and Chad is a CEO and business partner with Hulk Hogan, and Chad's team is the management team, the upper level, sort of big picture stuff. Then there's Eric Bischoff's team, which is marketing and promotion and a lot of the athlete pieces that you saw and the color around the event. And then there's Izzy's team, which is me, and we handle the matchups and the rules and the athletes and the and those kind of things, right? And they're all great. They're all great in their own respects, but they're also all kind of alphas where it's like, no, I know what I'm talking about and you don't, and I know what I'm talking about and you don't, right? And like, and so there has to be a synthesis of that and a symbiosis. And, the decision for the belts were something that I didn't initially was entirely on board with. Like, should we crown belts in the first thing, or should we wait until 3 or 4 results are established and then say, okay, now you get a title fight? And Bischoff was like pretty adamant. No, we need belts. We need titles. We need to set the pecking order. And if somebody hasn't deserved, if somebody wins the belt on card 1 and they don't deserve it, they're not really the guy, let somebody come and take it.
Exactly.
And he was right. He was right.
Yeah, that was a spot on call. And it's like, you have to reward the guys who, I saw some people talking about Cliff Keen and Cliff Keen's strong presence here. And I was chatting with one guy about it. Like, yeah, like that's Izzy. Izzy's, really close with the Cliff Keen, and shout out Cliff Keen. Like those guys bought in right away, Real Woods and all of the guys around Izzy bought in, and Kennedy wanted to be on the cards, and Mason Parris wanting to get involved now that he's back in wrestling. And like, that's super cool. And you should reward the guys and the girls who were a part of this initial event. And I'd rather. What?
I said it from Jump Street. The athletes that got on this card, they're partners and they're pioneers, and they are trailblazers. And it's real easy. It's real easy to come on board after you see something works. Okay. I know for a fact because of my phone that a lot of athletes saw what happened on Saturday night and said, I want to be in there. I want to be in there now. You know who took that leap? You know who had faith in us? You know who had confidence in us? You know who, maybe some of them didn't even have that great of confidence, but they said, like me, I need to do my part. I need to be part of this. This is an opportunity. If something's going to be a real sustainable professional league, I have to do what I can to make it. And guys like Kyle Dake, Wyatt Hendrickson, Jason Nolf, all of them, they took that leap and they tried to promote the sport and professionalize the sport in the best way they could. And Kyle Dake's a damn legend. He didn't need this. He wanted it and I can tell this because going through the process with him. He knows that this is wrestling shot at mainstream, and he wanted to be a part of it. Like if Kyle Dake, who's been at this for a long time, 7 world medals, if he wanted to sit this out and say, well, let's wait and see, and we'll see if it goes well. And if it goes well, then I'll be in. If he wanted to say that, okay, can't really blame him, right? But he didn't. Wyatt Hendrickson, if he wanted to say, you know what, I got Worlds, let's play it safe, let's see how RAF 1 goes because we've never seen it before, and I can say I'm just going to Worlds, you can't really blame him, right? But he didn't. He got there, he promoted the heck out of it, he competed, he was a showman, and all these guys, Sarah Hildebrand's reigning Olympic champ, they knew it was a moment, and hats off to him for taking the leap of faith and trying to move the sport forward.
Yeah, and I think Izzy's done a great job organizing this team and kind of being the middleman in all this. And you could see Izzy's passion, and regardless of who won what match, Izzy was so damn happy for everybody being a part of this, and like you could tell that Izzy's truly Izzy is trying to take everything that he has made his Izzy style business successful, everything he's seen from being in the mainstream MMA for the last decade, and he is truly giving it his best shot, and you can see that passion ooze out of him the whole event. You could see it.
Yeah, it's Izzy's a unique character, and he has his hands in a lot of things. He got a lot of stuff going on this is a guy that coaches 5-year-olds and also coaches Olympians and also coaches UFC champions, right? And but is at the end of the day, his passion's wrestling, and he bleeds wrestling, and wrestling's always his first love, and this is kind of culmination of that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hey, what happened with Seth Gross? I saw that he did a video that he was going to compete. What happened there?
So, we will always have a couple reserve matches. That's going to be our process. And we were prepared for it. If somebody comes down with the flu on Wednesday of fight week, if somebody rolls an ankle on Friday at warm-ups, somebody gets in a car accident on Saturday on the way to the venue, we're going to have reserve matches ready to go. And it was going through the week, we heard rumblings that Kennedy might have a compliance issue. Like on a Sunday, Monday, we're like, we think Kennedy's going to be all right. We think she's going to go, but just in case, and we had the matches ready to go in case she didn't go. So, it was going to be Seth Gross and Mikhail McGee, a matchup that I, frankly, really liked. I think McGee's a real strong up and comer. Is a guy that beat Dayton Fix and Folk, 3-time NCAA All-American, and Seth Gross, who made there should be a list of these. I should put this list together, but Seth Gross made a cadet world team, made junior world team, made a senior world team. There's not many of those dudes around, right? And so I thought it was a really good match. I thought Seth Gross is a perfect kind of guy for the card. He's entertaining, and every match with him is really interesting. He's an exciting wrestler, and he also promotes well. And and so we had that matchup ready to go, and there were some back and forth things where, okay, now it's go time. Is Kennedy in? Or is she out? Or what's this scenario? And then at the 11th hour, Holly Holm said, I'll do it. I'll wrestle. And we're like, okay, let's do that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Number one, Holly is to have Holly on the card is just amazing. I think it crosses disciplines. Number one, it gives real star appeal. That's obvious, right? But also on the other hand, we brought Alejandra Rivera in from Mexico, and we were bummed that she came all the way here and she wouldn't have a match, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to do that to somebody. So, all in all, we thought, let's roll with the Rivera and Holly Holm match, and we'll get Seth and Nickal on another card down the road. And I think it was great. I think, and I cannot talk highly enough about what not only Holly's performance, but what the kind of person she is to accept that match. Because she's 43 years old. She's a star. We have male athletes. We have male wrestlers in their prime that need all conditions to be perfect to take the mat. And here's Holly, who's not her first sport, who's not in the prime of her career, who's vulnerable. She's a superstar, and a loss shows some vulnerability in her, right? And she says, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll go. Anytime, anywhere, any place. And so the selflessness in her cannot be understated. I just thought it was incredible. And man, I said to her, I hung out with her all Saturday night after the show. I was with her and Kennedy and kind of and our team, our Izzy's team. There were a lot of other functions. There was an after party that was awesome, and most of the RAF team in general was there. But I was number one, I was exhausted, and number two, I wanted to decompress. And I don't know, I didn't want to be around all the celebrities and money people. I just wanted to decompress. And so there was a small group of people on our side of sort of circle that stayed together. And I really got to spend time with Holly and pick her brain a little bit. I said to her, because when she committed to the match Friday night, I said to her, Holly, I just want to say what you're doing, taking this match, on behalf of wrestling, we thank you, because you don't have to do this, but it's great for the sport. It's great for all the little girls in the world that are watching this and looking up to you and looking up to and aspiring to wrestle. I think it's a great moment for you and for RAF and for women's wrestling. And my mother and my sister, made the trip, and my sister is a giant Holly Holm fan. Loves her. Loves her. Probably her favorite moment in all UFC history was when she beat Ronda. And my lips were sealed. I didn't tell a soul. So Kyle Dake takes the mat, and I was dying to tell my sister. I was dying to tell her. But I wouldn't even tell her. I didn't tell no one.
Very proud
Kyle
of you. It's
Dake,
not normally like you.
I know. And Kyle Dake takes the mat, and I'm like, all right, Holly's on deck. And so I went over to my sister's seat, and I said, you're not going to believe what comes next. And she goes, what? And I said, and she goes, Kennedy's next, but she's not wrestling, right? And I said, because that kind of sort of got leaked by, I don't know, people. I said, Holly Holm's taking her place, and my sister's eyes lit up. And so my sister's a wrestling fan and a UFC fan, but not the hardest hardcore of fans, right? So my sister's eyes told me everything. If my sister gets excited about this, a lot of MMA / wrestling fans / women's sports fans will get excited about this. And so, yeah, it was the right call. It was the right move. And
it's so
I'm
funny. It's always funny watching people like actually catch the true wrestling bug. And if you told me like Holly was in our suite for NCAAs, and you could see like she's very close with Izzy, and she's part of Izzy's now, so she's always around wrestling. But you can tell that like continued interest, and it keeps growing. So if you would have told me after NCAAs that she was going to potentially be involved, that like you could kind of see that coming. So that was awesome that she had that opportunity too. Like I'm sure if she were just to say, "Hey Izzy, I want to wrestle," that might be a different conversation 2 months out or a month out, whatever. But to just step in like and get that opportunity was so awesome for
her. Yeah, it was great. I think it was very symbolic. That match, there was a lot of symbolic stuff going on. One, Holly's selflessness. Two, the cross promotion with boxing and UFC. The fact that it's women's wrestling, which is the fastest growing sport in America. It was an international match with Herrera and Rivera, and the fact that Holly comes out and goes feet to back right away.
Yeah, that was
and
awesome.
Then Rivera coming back, and it was almost like, I didn't think too much of it going in. I didn't like process what does it mean if Holly wins? What does it mean if Rivera wins? But throughout the match, I was like, oh, it would be the cherry on top if Holly won. Right.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, you know what? Maybe if Rivera wins, maybe that would be better, because it shows like you just can't come off the bench and win at this level. So I was like, there's a lot of stuff going on there.
I thought that, I don't know if you want to run through all the matches real quick now, but I thought that with the Lance Palmer Austin Gomez match, it shows you that like any time a top.
Well, I thought that same way about Evan Wick, right? It's if Evan Wick loses to Jason Nolf, no harm, no foul. There's no criticism there. Jason Nolf's a GOAT. But on the other hand, it's like Evan Wick just made Final X. What is it saying that Jason Nolf can take a 4-year layoff and still win? So there's like this. There's like this, right? And so that's why I think some of these matchups were good. We can go through the whole thing if you want.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go through it. We don't kind of go through each match in detail, but let's go through. Let's run through the card.
Yeah. Okay, so starting at the top. Nathan Tomasello comes out and beats Matt Ramos 4-3 to claim the bantamweight world title. Tomasello 2 points in the first, 2-0 after the first. 2-0 after the second, which made it 4-0 going to the third. Ramos scores 3 in the third, 4-3 final. I was concerned. I thought NATO looked great. I thought NATO stayed in his wheelhouse and did what he's good at and avoided Ramos's big moves. It was clear that Tomasello wanted to push and use his physicality and strength. And Ramos, I think with NATO, he's so big and square. You need to either level change or find angles, and Ramos wasn't quite able to do that.
Yeah, it was funny too. Like right out of the gate, I loved all the promotion from the wrestlers. They were buying in with their entrances. They were buying in with feeding off the crowd. We don't normally see that. I saw some people poo-pooing on the weigh-ins and the face-offs, and I get it. Like, to a degree, like, wrestling is typically such a respect my opponent, like, type of thing. And so some of it seemed a little forced or like, faked. But I do think that, like, maybe it was after Evan Wick's win, like, you could see the wrestlers truly buying in and letting out their personalities, whether it's Wick, Gomez, like, it was awesome to see these personalities actually come out. Sure, some of it might have seemed forced or faked if they were trying too hard, but there was also a lot of personalities that were coming out, and I think to make this a success, you need that. And you saw that right out of the gate with NATO and Ramos, I feel like.
Yeah, and well, another thing, you mentioned the crowd. There was a real Ohio State presence there. Whether it was in the NATO match or Lance Palmer, and the reaction to Austin Gomez. So that was pretty cool. It was a good, knowledgeable crowd that was passionate.
Yeah.
And I think NATO's a really good first champ for the weight, especially at that weight, because NATO's a 61-ish. NATO's been 61, right? And Ramos is really a 57. And I think there's going to be good challengers to NATO.
100%. I mean, basically, anyone at 61 kilos, is right at that weight. 61 kilos is what, like 134 and a half-ish pounds. So, you're going to have a lot of guys wanting that for sure.
Match number 2, Yanni Bajrang. Yanni wins 5-1, a 1-0 lead after the first, a 2-1 lead at the second, and he went 3-0 in the third to win 5-1. I thought that Bajrang, here's another one. You talk about Lance Palmer having a long layoff, Jason Nolf having a long layoff, Darren Caldwell having a long layoff, and maybe not being sure what you're going to get with those guys. I thought Bajrang had moments, man. I thought there were moments there where, okay, Bajrang still has some stuff. Now, he didn't convert his opportunities, but Yanni's hard to finish on, man. And some of them, if you don't finish super clean on Yanni, he gets into these situations. The one time that Bajrang finishes that shot on 99% of the world. The one time Yanni did the splits and got away, get out of trouble, that was just Yanni being Yanni.
And by the way, like, Bajrang is suspended through April 2028. I believe it was for failure to submit a doping sample or something. It wasn't failing an actual test. I think it was failing to just do it. So here's the guy who's suspended for the next, he's suspended for 3 more years. Like, and he's still, so I'm sure he's not training anywhere near full bore when he's not. The next time he can go to Worlds or Olympics is literally LA 2028. So I was very impressed with him to hold Yanni, who was just in, Final X, was a match away from making the world team, a returning world silver medalist, and Bajrang held him to a 5-1 loss. Like, for Bajrang, who's probably not training like he normally would be this time of year, I was incredibly impressed by him.
Well, I don't know what Bajrang's training situation was leading up to signing on for this card. What I do know is I wanted to have as much international presence as possible
Yeah.
on the card one, because I wanted to symbolize. Oh, I wanted to show the world. It's a good. The first card. I wanted to say this isn't. It's called Real American Freestyle, and that's our brand, and that's
Yeah.
what we do. But it's also for international, right?
Yeah.
It's all. This is also global, and um, number one, there isn't too many guys. I don't care what level you wrestle at. Baschamania's obviously an Olympic medalist. Um, there may be other guys that right now are better and more accomplished than Baschamania, but brand and name recognition, there ain't too many guys on his with his cachet. And so I really wanted Baschamania, and it wasn't too long into me being put on staff to immediately say, it was like as soon as Yanni lost at Final X, I said, I want Baschamania Yanni. This is the match I want. This is important for the card, and for the global representation on this card, because it was going to be hard to get Russians. It was going to be hard to get. There was a couple things. I've said it ad nauseum. There's things working against us. The proximity to Worlds is going to immediately make anybody going to Worlds say, whoa, 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 we'll do a card 2. We'll do a card 3. It's too close to Worlds, number one. Number two, the late jump, the late kind of progress of this, like, okay, Real American Freestyle is a thing. We're doing it. Okay, we're doing it August 31st. For several countries, it's difficult to get a visa, right?
Yeah.
And so it was going to be problematic to get visas for some, like, let's say, Russians. And so to me, Baschamania checked all the boxes. Now, you say he wasn't working out. I don't know what his workout kind of regimen was before I contacted him. But I said, Izzy, I want Baschamania. He said, go get him. And then Baschamania came to Michigan. He's been at Michigan for quite a while. I mean, he's been in the United States training full time for at least I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months. So he was getting his work in. Again, Yanni was 2-0 against him coming in, and Yanni has much more reps, recent reps. So the pick was Yanni, but I thought Baschamania had a good showing.
Yeah. No, for sure. I agree.
Match number 4, Austin Gomez rolled up Lance Palmer, 11-0, first period tech fall, and both in neutral and parterre. Austin looked fantastic. And I think some people were skeptical. Lance Palmer, he's a little old. He's been off the mat forever and ever. While that's true, I thought it said more about Austin Gomez and where he's at. Austin is really good right now.
He is.
Austin's really good.
And I had said he's the type of personality you need in this. He can play that heel card very well. The fact that I feel like almost there's a good guy, bad guy. There's a lot of angles to take in this, and one can absolutely be like guys competing for the American team and then Americans competing for other countries like Mexico, and there's storylines you can build there. And Austin is a heel type of personality that is needed to make this thing work. Not if you want to say that a face-off feels forced or awkward, or if you want to say that guy, like you need the Austin Gomez's type. And honestly, even Gomez on Twitter, that might have been the moment of the night when virtual NCAA says, "Sup, at who was it? Rivera's coach, and then Gomez comments, "Chill, bro. That's my sister."
Yeah, yeah.
I was just cracking up, but yeah,
Um,
you had that.
so it was good.
Not to say like you had that lopsided match. This might have been like the one lopsided match in the card, but again, I think it sets the stage, and the fact that it was Gomez, like he's going to be able to play into that perfectly moving forward. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I see you guys in the chat talking about like future matchups and stuff. I mean, by all means, put in there what future matchups you want. Put in what guys you would like to see join RAF or be on a card at RAF, and we'll read them at the end of the show. But when we also put the match order together, we like the idea of coming out with a lightweight, a guy like Matt Ramos that's sort of high flyer. We wanted to come out with that match first, and then we put the 55 pounders back to back, sort of juxtapose them. And so you got Yanni Baschamania, then you got Austin Gomez, and you could sort of, they're right in proximity. So you got Yanni, you got Gomez, and I think that that may be, I think that's a necessary match going forward. That Austin Gomez gets a title shot. Number one, for being 1-0. Number two, for being an early adopter to RAF. And number three, he looks like he's that level. He looks like he deserves a title shot. So expect that matchup. It's a matchup I want to put together. And, we'll see. Austin's going to the World Championships. The next card that I thought they were going to announce the next card. Not the next card. I thought they were going to announce the next date and location. That's going to be announced very, very soon. And so, there were also other questions. There were also other questions about how often do you defend a title? Are they going to wrestle every card? What's the word? Cadence. And so it's good. We're gonna have cards almost every month, 6 to 12 times a year. Now it's just like UFC. I don't think you can expect these guys to defend the title. It's not going to be a title bouts. It's not going to be 10 title bouts every card. You're going to have development. You're going to have contenders.
Yeah, you'll have to alternate like a number one title contender match, and then the following card might be a title match.
You can't expect. I don't know, Bo Nickal to defend the title every 2 months.
And these guys also, like, as RAF continues to build and as these titles continue to grow demand in lore, like, these guys are still competing for world and Olympic titles. So there are still going to be, ranking series trips. And, it might get tricky during U.S. Open, World Team Trials, Final X time. Like, you're all these guys are not going to be on every card winning the title, but I think you can build a nice cadence just like the UFC does, and you can start to put a shine on certain belts at certain cards, and you save something for the next one.
Yeah. So, I don't think I'm breaking any confidentiality by saying the next card you probably can expect in November. And so we got to make Yanni Gomez happen at some point. And but Gomez, one, is wrestling at Worlds soon, and two, his wife, she's about to pop. So he's going to have a kid. He's going to have a baby right at that time. And so I don't know that he's going to necessarily be available if we have a card in November. But anyway, yeah, that'll materialize at some point. Okay, let's move on. Our next match was who? Sarah?
Wick and Nolf.
Wick and Nolf. How about that? That was to
What a
me.
barn
That might have
burner.
been match of the night candidate.
I think it was. I think between
Evan Wick.
Wick's early takedown, Nolf going for 4 early on, like those two guys absolutely went after it. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 10-8, a lot of points. Lead changes. And again, not knowing sure what to expect. I mean, listen, Wick had a really great college career, where he beat Chance Marsteller, finished third, AA'd several times. Jason Nolf, all-time legendary freaking career,
Yeah.
right? Three NCAA titles, just phenomenal, phenomenal. And he made a Final X. Wick makes a Final X this year. What to expect? What does it say about the current state of that weight class in America? And we got a great show. And I think you can say Evan Wick is continuing to get better. A lot of times we see guys sort of plateau at the senior level. Wick's continuing to improve still at this age. And so I thought it said a lot about Evan Wick, man. And his ability to he consistently got to that one shot. It looked, I don't want to say he could do it at will, but it looked like Evan could score on Jason Nolf kind of when he wanted to. He could at least get to that shot when he wanted to. And even he takes the lead 10-8. It's 8-8. Nolf's winning on criteria. 30 seconds to go. He gets a takedown. There's a stoppage with like 15 seconds left. Nolf sort of takes a half shot, and Wick goes right in on a shot. How many times have we talked about on shows about international wrestling where you have a 10-8 lead, there's 15 seconds left, you shut down and you give it up? Wick took the chance to get in on a shot, and his best defense there was offense. And, Nolf is bouncing on the leg. And I'm like, do it, Jason. Like, in my head, I'm like, do it, Jason. Do it. The crowd will love it. No matter what happens, the crowd will love it. And he does the kick flip. Yes. That was cool. But, yeah, excellent match. Proud of Evan Wick. It was 2-2 in the first. The second period was 6-2 Wick, so it was 8-4 going to the third. Jason scores 4 unanswered, so it's 8-8. He leads, and then Wick with the final takedown. What's next at that way? I do not know. I thought it was a little odd that Evan Wick called out Dake, who's not competing at that weight class. Now, I guess he assumes, like most of us, that not like most of us. Kyle Dake is wrestling 86 because that's an Olympic weight class, right? Kyle Dake is certainly not. He could be a 79, no problem. But so I think that's where whether it's because Wick thinks that Dake is a true 97, whether it's that Evan Wick just loves Kyle Dake and it's like I want to wrestle that guy. I want to wrestle the best. Whatever the reason is, I don't know. But they asked him to call somebody out, and he called out Kyle Dake, who we would see a little bit later. Who do you think deserves a title shot at 79 kg?
I think you got to have a title contender. I don't think you can have everything based just on this event. Like, I think you got to have guys now pop up.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
That's
so
what
it's
I'm
like it's going to be interesting. It's also, I had some college guys texting me, and this got interest from people at all levels, from high schoolers to college kids. was talking to Peyton Prusin, who's in WWE NXT right now. She was like, "This looks absolutely amazing." Like, it got interest from people of all levels. So I'm curious who wants to throw their hat in the ring and try to, either get a title contender match on one of these cards or what. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that might be a wrinkle too that you see going forward. Is like, honestly, it might. This might be a little bit in advance and a little bit down the road, but you might see us. You might see us do sort of mini cards, contender cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
In between the big cards,
yeah.
where guys can climb the ladder and earn a shot. You know. Um. Okay, on to the next bout. Sarah Hildebrandt over Zelton Hernandez by Tech 11-0. And, the matchup on paper was sort of desperate with result. Sarah Hildebrandt's a two-time Olympic medalist, reigning world champion. Zelton, good continental results, but not the world level success. On resume, it's Sarah next topic. And then Sarah goes out and it's 7-0 after the first, and you're like, okay, this is a mismatch. But the second period goes 0-0. And I thought that Zelton really showed well. She was a fighter. She was a grinder. She didn't give up. She didn't give in. She's down big. She fought tooth and nail. They kept getting in that same position where Sarah's in, but Zelton traps that arm. They got in on that over and over again. And I was really appreciative of Zell's grit. You there?
Yeah, no, I thought that was a great match. I thought it was awesome to see Sarah come out of her, she retired when she got the USA Wrestling job back earlier this year, and to come out and still kind of do the Sarah thing she does was impressive. And
yeah, I think Sarah's the whole package. She is athletic. She's tougher than a $2 steak. I think one thing that gets overlooked with Sarah is her grit and her toughness. A lot of lightweights. They're not considered gritty. It's like Jordan Burroughs. Jordan Burroughs' facade, his aesthetics, makes everybody say, wow, he's explosive, he's athletic, and they go on and they list all these characteristics of Jordan. But one thing beyond that facade is how tough and gritty and how much of a fighter he is. And I think the same thing, to a lesser extent maybe, is what Sarah is. She's athletic and she's technical, but she has real toughness. And but she has marketability. And she really resonates, I think, with the younger generation of wrestlers. So it is important to, her presence on the card. She's another one that I failed to mention earlier, like the Wyatts and the Kyle Dakes, that it was important for her to be on the card.
Yep,
for our young women. Like you said, she was a little she's long layoff. I mean, not that long, but last about a year. And so she's a little rusty. It was good to have her back on the mats.
Definitely.
Next match, Real Woods over Darian Caldwell, and Real went out and got it done. Pin, actually. Darian did have a couple points. The first period was 4-3 in favor of Real. The second period, Real scored 6 unanswered and then got the fall. Darian was a pleasure all weekend to work with him. He's a great guy. He was grateful for the experience and the opportunity, and a real pro. And he's still got a little juice. He's still an incredible wrestler. It's just that it's Real Woods, and Real Woods is the best in America.
He's a world
Maybe
teamer.
one of
Yeah.
he's a world teamer. Yeah, it ain't easy. I thought Darian added a lot of flash to the card. But Real's a medal contender right now.
Yeah, and that's a cool match to see on the first card. You know, as your kind of proof of concept type of a card this was, so close to Worlds, you need the Lance Palmer and the Darian Caldwells and the Holly Holm to step in and help, if nothing else, show the proof of concept that RAF has what it takes. So I think that
you get the crossover with the MMA kind of stuff. You get a legend, NCAA wrestling legend that's been off the mat for a while, and you get some newness too. We went through the U.S. Open, we went through the Challenge Tournament, we went through Final X. You either get a European, you can't get anybody. It's a long shot to get anybody that's going to the World Championships. And what are you going to do? The alternative wrestler, an American that they just went through the process. They just hit.
Hey, Willie,
right?
so some comments in the chat about the 3 periods. What'd you make of the 3 periods?
Again, so that's a culmination of sort of me and Eric Bischoff and Izzy, right? It's like, and doing what's. Me and Izzy make the decisions. What's right for wrestling, right? What's good for wrestling. Eric comes through looking at it at a lens for entertainment and television and pacing, and he said, we want 3 periods is better, and that was one thing that I didn't give pushback at all. I said, yeah, you know what? I think that's good. You get especially for television, you get the coaches making adjustments in the corner. You probably get, listen, when you wrestle a 2-minute period and then have a break, and a 2-minute period and have a break, you're going to get fresher wrestlers. You're going to get, it should result in more action. You get a break. You're fresher. And in a 2-3s, the last minute of each period, they're exhausted. And I understand that that's a part of wrestling, and endurance and fatigue is part of the sport. That's true. But the 3 periods will make it fresher. And we come from a place we used to have 3 2s. Right. And so I was about it. And, like everything, I'm worried about, like everything else, I'm worried about everything getting criticized. I'm worried about the commentary being criticized. I'm worried about any production tweaks. I'm worried about, I get anxiety about the way that wrestling fans are going to perceive every facet of this card. And so, the first match, literally the first match is going through my head. 3 periods, and I'm like, yeah, it's good, it's fine, It's awesome. It might be better. It's probably better. And so, the inspiration came from Eric Bischoff for a better TV product, and I think it worked.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. That's where I'm coming from. Where are you guys at? What do you think, Justin?
I liked it. I thought it made sense. I thought it was a nice break in the action. I thought it made sense. I think versus having, 3 periods, I agree with Bischoff. Like, I think it's such a little tweak, but it does make a good difference.
Yeah. The Mitchell family. Wrestle Madness said, I want Willie on the next broadcast as a guest announcer. I guess.
I told Willie that I was texting in real time saying he should be on the mic.
I get asked to announce a lot of stuff. I don't like being locked into an announcing booth. I mean, 3 hours where I would love to. I would love to if like that's all I had to do, but being locked into 3 hours of you have to sit at that, or whether it's anything, even a dual meet for 2 hours, like you're locked in for 2 hours, you can't leave your chair. I'm too OCD for that. Number one. Number two, then Mitchell family says Willie is enjoying the show. He doesn't want to work that night, dude. You couldn't be further off on that. I was running around like a nut. The 3 hours I was running around making sure everything is all right, filling in this, filling in that, making sure this guy had this, making sure that guy, making sure the athletes were back there, making sure everything. I was running around like a nutbag. But yeah, I did hear some criticism of Bubba, I think. That Bubba was a little rusty. I don't know. But Bubba's a good, energetic guy. I hope that they'll get there, and they'll get. Yeah. So much so, Mitchell family. So much so that I didn't even catch. I missed good portions of certain matches because I was running around, because I was backstage, because I was in the tunnels and this and that. And then I had to go back. I got home, I don't know, 6 o'clock last night, and then I had to watch the broadcast and sort of understand what was good, bad, and in between on the broadcast. Catch a couple details that I actually missed live. But yeah, that's how much running around I was doing.
Nick Costco said, "Got to get my guy Nick Soriano out of hibernation for a match." It would be cool to get a guy like Soriano out, like exclusively to do it. You know, like if there is somebody like Soriano and there's others, but it would be cool to get people like him almost exclusive in it.
What do you mean exclusive?
Like Soriano hasn't really been even trying to compete at the world or Olympic level. Like, imagine if the only time you get a match with Soriano is if it's at RAF.
I think that will happen.
No, I do too. Eventually.
I think there will come a time where, well, maybe not. I don't know. I think there will come a time where, and if it does, maybe it's wishful thinking on my part. But if it does, it means like we made it.
Correct. Right? Well, that's what I was going to say.
I'm not stroking my own ego. I'm not saying RAF made it. I'm saying wrestling made it. Listen, the goal for an aspiring basketball player is not the Olympics. There's not a kid in 7th grade that says, "I want to play basketball. I can't wait to get to the Olympics." No, you know what they're saying? They're just saying, "I want to go to Kentucky and then I want to play for the Lakers."
Well, yeah, but the NBA's been around since 1940.
Nobody, there's not a little leaguer that's saying, "I can't wait to play in the Olympics." They're saying, "I want to play for the Cubs." There's not a football player that says, "I want to play in the Olympics. I want to play for the Packers." Right? And so what I mean when I say if that occurs, if we get to the point where a wrestler's priority is, I want to be the world champion in RAF over I want to medal at Worlds this year, then I feel like the sport has sort of made it like fully professionalized.
Yeah, it would take a lot to get there. I mean, you're mentioning
and so
leagues that have been around 100 years.
I don't know if Nick Suriano, I don't know if anybody that's competitive enough to win an RAF title will say, "Yeah, that's all I care about. I don't care about Worlds. I don't care about the Olympics." But it would kind of be pretty cool. And you even see now, I mean, what you have now is, look at the number of guys that are taking a year off, the year after Olympics. To them, Worlds isn't that big a deal. I'm taking a year off. I'll come back later in the cycle. So already we're seeing on some level, and we've seen this for a little while, on some level, Worlds ain't the biggest deal to them. But maybe 3 matches in a year to win an RAF belt is enough.
I've long said it.
You know what I'm saying?
For Americans, I truly believe it's NCAA Title 1, Olympics 2, Worlds 3. I've said that forever, that I think that's the pecking order of what Americans care about winning.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what it develops. Well, I can tell you that on the Soriano front, I can tell you that there's communication. I talked to Bob last night. So, yeah, Soriano is definitely a character. And at his peak, just about as good as anybody. Damn hard to beat, that's for sure.
All right.
Moving on. Kyle Dake over Hamidi with a tech fall 11-0. It's 5-0 after one. Second period was 6-0 Dake. So Dake wins the Cruiserweight World title as RAF's top 190-pounder. It was interesting. I think a lot of people, I didn't understand really the narrative coming in that, Hamidi might be too small. Like, Hamidi wrestles 79 kilograms. What is Kyle Dake? Kyle Dake's not an 86-pounder, guys. He's an 86 kilo guy simply for the Olympics. So I didn't think there would be a great size discrepancy. In fact, Dean weighed in 1.25 pounds, 1.2 pounds heavier than Dake. So now you might say Kyle Dake is more filled in. I think that would be true. But Dean, last year when I did Hall of Fame duels in Stillwater, Dean came over and watched. It was high school stuff. Dean came over and watched. I was like, holy crap, Dean's humongous. Like, his frame is humongous.
Yeah.
So I didn't think there was going to be any size discrepancy, and I don't think it came into play really there. I think Kyle Dake, maybe the simple answer is that Dean Hamidi isn't Zahid Valencia right now, and maybe that's what it is. But I thought that Kyle wrestled better last night than he did at Final X. I think he wrestled freer, more open, more instinctive. I think he let it fly a lot more. I thought he was very conservative in his matches with Zahid, and maybe even a little bit more conservative in his matches, like say at the Open, for instance. I thought it was I'm not saying that Dean Hamidi is as good or better than Zahid. I'm saying that I thought Dake was in a good space.
Yeah, and listen, Dake's a veteran, so he's going to learn from his mistakes. So if he feels like he lost his Zahid because he didn't open up, and this was an opportunity for him to, hey, let me go out and just open up, and then this is what happens. I do think part of it could be Dake learning from his losses this year and making changes, knowing what he's got to do to get those wins next time.
Yeah. So yeah, Kyle, really good, and that's Kyle Dake was very energetic about this project and RAF in general, and so I think he liked the limelight. I think he liked the event, and I think I think Kyle will be, a guy that's on a lot of cards, and certainly has to be now because he has to defend that title. Match number 7, Rivera beats Holly Holm. Excuse me, this is match number 8. Rivera beats Holly Holm 9-7. Holm comes out, sort of pancakes Rivera, takes a 4-0 lead in the second, and going to the second. Rivera with a big 9-2 edge in round number 2, and it was a lot of upper body sort of counter stuff. I don't think I don't think 9-2 was as bad as what the wrestling was. Like I don't think Rivera like utterly dominated her to a tune of 9-2. I think it was some different exchanges there, and then it was 0-0 in the third period. This one to me is all about the symbolic gesture of Holly and having a boxing legend, a UFC legend, take the stage and do
Willie,
a really good deed for wrestling.
I don't know if you caught it, but it was funny. There were some people who thought Chael was like doing a gimmick in his commentating, and I thought Chael was just being Chael, and I thought he did awesome. I love him on the mic. I don't know if you caught this when you watched the event back, but Chael was mentioning that Joe Rogan texted him and was like, "You got to settle down with your bias as you're commentating," because Chael was so blown away by Holly competing, and you could sense that excitement, and I loved it. And I'm like, not only do I think it's cool that Chael's really conveying how awesome it is that Holly's competing, but that little tidbit that Joe Rogan is watching it, I'm like, that tells you a lot. That somebody who's as savvy of a veteran in consuming the combat sports landscape is watching it. That says a lot right there.
Joe. Now, Chael is a jokester and Chael is an entertainer, and he very well could be making that up, but I doubt it. Joe is very aware of those things that are going on in grappling, in jiu-jitsu, obviously MMA and wrestling. He follows wrestling. He follows the bigger storylines in wrestling. He's mentioned Flow Wrestling on a bunch of podcasts. He mentions wrestling frequently, so that very well could be the case. But yeah, Holly, I thought I thought she did a really good thing for wrestling. Last night not last night, Saturday night after the match, we're all hanging out, and so I said Holly, how was it? I said, Holly, how was it wrestling? How was your energy level? I said, when I was a kid, when I was in college, I could wrestle 6 or 7 minutes, but I could wrestle 6 or 7 minutes, right? That's what we did. That's what we were built for. I said, but I'd have like boxing buddies or like buddies from different disciplines, long distance runners, whatever. They would try to wrestle, but they couldn't make it that long. But I couldn't run a marathon. I couldn't run a half marathon, right? With that same comfort level. I would hang out with boxers and mess around with them, and I couldn't hit the bag as long as they could. It's a different sort of fatigue, and you're using different muscle groups and whatever, all this stuff. I said, what's the difference? You tinker around with wrestling once in a while, but you don't wrestle a 6-7 minute match. It's a different anaerobic type of thing. And she was like, well, I was feeling it, but she said something that maybe some wrestling people understand, maybe some UFC people understand, but you don't hear it a lot unless you're really like in a combat sport. And she said, well, I was feeling it, but she goes, I'm pretty freaking good at being comfortable when I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so she knew she was in for it. She knew this was going to be a grind. And so, again, just all the respect in the world to her.
100%.
Match number 9, Bo Nickal defeats Jacob Cardenas 6-4 to claim the light heavyweight world title. Bo Nickal 3-0 in the first period. Second period, 1-1. In the third period, Cardenas really has a shot. He really has an opportunity in the situation, and Bo counters him a little bit. Cardenas actually won the third period 3-2, but still falls 6-4. This was a match that a lot of the wrestling savants, a lot of the wrestling diehard guys said this one could be the upset of the night. Now, it wasn't quite that, but you can see why they thought that. Me, myself included. I thought Cardenas would be. I didn't pick Cardenas to win, but I thought this was sneaky. I thought it was sneaky, and he almost got it. But Bo's Bo. Bo wins 6-4. Thoughts on that bout? Bo coming back. Bo holding the title now while also wrestling in UFC or fighting in UFC. Jacob Cardenas starting his senior level career now. All things included.
I thought it was a huge win for Bo. First match in years. And like you said, you can train MMA, you can train different things. Wrestling is a specific skill set, and being wrestling tired and being in wrestling matches, like, Bo is so savvy. Even the way that he knew that, you could tell he was taking this very serious. Like, he said he was watching film, and he knew that Cardenas liked that gut to the right. And when he kind of, allowed that gut so that he could pin him there towards, or put him on his back towards the end there, like, you could tell how serious Bo was taking this and how much he wanted it. And I think it's exciting. I saw there's a lot of commentary around people wanting Bo to fight more, and I don't know MMA enough to say that, like, Bo should be fighting more, less, whatever. But it will be interesting to see how much he wrestles. He said last night this wasn't one and done. He says he wants to, or this weekend, he wants to compete. He wants to wrestle. So I thought it was awesome. Awesome win for Bo. And it's going to be interesting to see now, like, if you have a number one title contender match, who it is, and then where does Bo stack up against them? It's like Bo kind of gets back into a wrestling groove. It's going to be cool to say, okay, he passed a huge test beating Cardenas. He's Bo Nickal. He can beat Cardenas. But what about so-and-so? It's the same thing in MMA when these guys, like, beat somebody, and then it's like, okay, but can he beat so-and-so? I think Bo's going to be in that wrestling-wise right now where it's, okay, he beat Cardenas, but can he beat so-and-so? So I'm excited for whatever his next match is.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited about all things Bo and what he has on his docket for UFC, and I'm still on that train. I'm certainly not off that train. Where Bo goes, I don't know, 6-0, 5-0, whatever he is in UFC, and then loses to DeRitter, and people jump off the train and say, Bo's just not what we thought he was. He's not the superstar. I mean, he's 6-1 in the UFC. I just think he has more reps to learn in the UFC, and I'm still optimistic. I don't know. Maybe is he world champ material now in 3 years? I don't know. But I'm all in on everything Bo, whether it's UFC, whether it's RAF, whether it's World Team Trials, whatever the case is. Bo's a damn winner. So, and then our final bout of the night: Wyatt Hendrickson, Tech Falls Mustafa Elders of Egypt. I think Wyatt again didn't have to take this. I do think, regardless, I think it was good for him to get an international match in. I keep saying that. He hasn't had international matches in a while. It's good for him to compete. It's good for him to feel a different feel. And but honestly, he was there for the star power. He was there because he wanted to promote the sport and jumpstart it, and he wanted to take part. And so we ended it on a patriotic and
I like to, even though Wyatt's there for star power, like, he's all the rage this year ever since NCAA's, and he's earned that. But one of the I think coolest things about Wyatt ending the show was having the Mason aspect. Like, that's again kind of a pro wrestling-esque element where Mason Paris left for a year, tried going to do the NFL. It didn't work out. He's back, and he's not hiding from anybody. And on the world level, on the RAF level, like, it's cool to have that. There's been a warranted discourse around Wyatt with well, Gable's out. Well, Mason's out. Well, Kirk's injured. Well, and meanwhile, Wyatt's, looked awesome, upset Gable at the NCAA level. And you have this discourse around, but can Wyatt beat the Mason Parrises? So to end on that note of having Mason be like, yeah, but can you take me out, basically, I thought that was a great way to end the first card.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that will happen. We will have, and that's to me, that's a true worthy RAF world heavyweight champion. That's a world worthy title, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Wyatt being Mason being an Olympian and a world medalist, Wyatt Hendrickson winning the Hodge Trophy and beating an Olympic champion. That will happen.
And the fact that you're going
to both guys know it.
Hodge versus Hodge for an RAF title is an awesome storyline.
Yeah, yep, yep. So a good show, I thought. In-house, it was electric. I think all the fans that were there, there's really two sides to it. The in-house show and the fans that were there and the online community, the people that watched online and how they perceived it. And I think that the people that watched online, I think the response was great. Like 98% seem to have really enjoyed it and really dig it and say, I'm going to go to the next card. The people in venue, I don't think there was a bad thing to say about it. I think the people that were there, and I'll say this too. I hope that everybody that watched it online loved it. There is no comparison to being there. That place was awesome.
The
energy was awesome. The people watching was awesome. It was really cool inside there. I don't want to I'm not saying that it was a bad experience online. I'm just saying there ain't no way that it was cooler online than in there, because in there was awesome.
I think the next one will be even cooler. I think now that you're starting to have that, now momentum will start building. It's cool that people are going to start wanting certain matchups. It's cool that people are going to be looking forward to how does Wyatt Mason take shape? How does Yanni Gomez take shape? Does Gomez medal at Worlds? And then does that add a layer to Yanni and Gomez? So I think there's a lot of cool things to look forward to.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm really excited about, like as part of my job, is who to sign next, who we can get for matchups next, and particularly
if we can figure out the college kids. Guys. Getting college kids too would be cool.
I had a conversation with Lee Roper about that, and I sure, college kids are fine. College kids are good, and they bring eyeballs, and they're probably, I don't know. Jesse Mendez is probably really good for engagement and diehard wrestling fans. But to me, I don't know. To me, that's almost a foregone conclusion. Well, to me, I want to attack the international guys. That's what I want to do.
I think that's a huge component for sure. I think you gotta bring in the international guys. I think that's a must. I also think college kids and some of them are talking to them like, oh, that'd be cool to have on the card in middle of the college season or whatever. But yeah, I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
The international guys, I agree. If you want to make it serious and you want to call it a true world title, the international guys got to be there. And I saw that, you had some international guys already telling Yanni, you and me I forgot who it was.
It was Dave Baev.
Yeah, Baev. He said, "How about you and me at RAF too?" So like, you're already seeing the international guys paying attention to this, so that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So very good, very good. I was happy, excited, relieved. Probably is the word most of all. Internally, our team was very happy, and is happy, and so it's kind of fitting that today is a holiday and they can sort of breathe easy and be happy and enjoy what was a really great night of wrestling. So Justin Basch, when do we run it back? I see you're upset about seating or lack thereof seating for Senior Worlds. What you want to talk about that on a future show? Maybe lead off.
Yeah, we got
Thursday morning.
Yeah, we can do that. Worlds are in I can't do Thursday morning. Maybe Wednesday. Worlds are in a couple weeks, so we can do a whole Worlds preview. I was looking at the seeds. And I'm curious your take too. We can talk about it now for a minute if you want. Like, it's just like
I want to save it for a separate show, but I
right.
absolutely I do absolutely disagree with your take.
Okay, we can. You don't want to talk about it. Do you want to preview it right now? Preview the disagreement.
No. Well, the disagreement is on seeds and at Worlds, and you think they should be seeded.
I think they should seed the whole tournament.
No.
That's what I think. I don't like having.
Well, let's get it with this. It's a separate show, bud.
Okay.
Let's not.
Okay.
I don't know. This is a great.
Do you want?
RAF
Okay. All right. Yep. Okay. You can throttle me. I'll be throttled. I can't. All right, that's the show. Boys. Like, subscribe, comment. We'll be back with another show soon. Go Bills. We're back this week. Sunday night, Bills, Ravens, Josh Allen. Go Bills.